According to the Chief Inspector of Schools, many children entering primary schools today appear less equipped to learn than they've ever been. Teachers claim there's no time to sort out poor language and social skills at Key Stage 1, when SATs lie just around the corner for these children.
I would say that without a doubt, in Britain today, we're starting formal education too soon. In terms of them coming into school, teachers find it very difficult because they feel they haven't time to concentrate on developing language, listening, attention skills. The tests and targets agenda has meant that they are feeling they've got to get on with getting children reading, writing, learning to wield a pencil and getting onto the literacy as quickly as possible. In fact, it's probably counterproductive. It's more important that we develop the underpinning foundations of language, listening and attention.
So how could we better prepare our children for the challenges of Key Stage 1 literacy? During her 25 years in the Russian school system, teacher and researcher Galina Dolya was awarded the country's highest education honour. Her expertise lies in education for early years.
I can definitely tell what is happening in Russia, and I know that to the age of 5, the teachers are not allowed to teach children to write letters, and they work more on the underlying cognitive abilities and skills, and the reading and writing really comes naturally.
10 years ago, Galina arrived in the UK to introduce techniques for developmental education based on the work of Russian psychologist Lwa Wygotskiego. Here at Galina's preschool nursery, play, especially children's self-initiated role play, is considered one of the most fruitful ways of developing the basic language and social skills underlying literacy and learning.
What you need is a balance of teacher-directed and child-initiated activities. Little children need to do things that interest them, and they will be very, very preoccupied and interested and will maintain concentration if it's their own interest they're following. They also need opportunities to do what the teacher says under more formal conditions, and a balance of the two is what's required. If you get good teacher-directed activities, the language that they pick up through their work with the teacher will be picked up and used in their own play, and that is really productive. But it's when they're playing that their language is at its highest. When children are engaged in activities that interest them, particularly role play, then they will use more complex vocabulary and more complex constructions.
If you eat one of these, I'll give you Marmite toast.
Can you help him eat it then, because he's finding it hard to hold it?
Rich opportunities for child-initiated learning are balanced with 20-minute teacher-led group activities. Deputy Manager Amanda is introducing this group of 3-year-olds to symbolic literacy, which lies at the heart of Galina's programme of learning.
Today I thought we'd do some reading, but reading to play music to. Look, I've got some magic cards here, and they've got long strips and short, that's right. So when we see this, I'd like a big, loud noise. So what kind of noise will you play for this one? Little noise or a quiet noise, that's right.
The ability of the child develops to read different schemes and to understand signs. So he knows if there is a long strip, then it represents a loud sound, and there is a short strip, a soft sound. And the children need to look at the diagram and to play. Like a musician looks at the notes and understands what to play, or the letters what to read. It is again the same idea of the development of pre-reading skills.
Here we go.
Excellent, give yourself a clap, well done.
Two Waters Primary School in Hertfordshire is the first state school in England to take on Galina's Wygotskiego Key to Learning programme, to offer early years pupils a sound foundation for language and learning.
The Wygotskiego comprises a number of different modules. One of them is on literacy, and they have some absolutely super ideas in there. When they do storytelling, you use symbols to represent the characters and the things that are involved in the story. And the children end up being able to tell the story without a single word on the page, but through the use of symbols. So when you move them on to introducing letters, etc., and words, it seems to flow really very naturally. And I like the way that they are not threatened in any way by language initially, so that they have this lovely confidence in telling stories. So by the time they get to year one, they are really ready to take off and start writing and reading.
What story might I be thinking of if you see these characters? The three bears and who?
The Goldilocks.
That's it, well done, Goldilocks. Now do you think you could help me?
Engendering a love of stories at this age is essential. Foundation Stage Coordinator Susanna Lyons is returning to a familiar story with a group from her reception class.
While they're walking in the woods, what happened?
She eats the porridge and sits on the chest and breaks the baby bed.
Oh, she's naughty.
And she sleeps on all the beds. That's the daddy one is too hard and the mummy one is too soft. And the baby ones is just right.
That's right, Haida. So
Susanna's going to apply a symbolic technique called story grammar.
During these sessions, the children learn how to substitute the real objects by different shapes. If it is three bears, so there will be a big circle daddy bear and middle-sized circle mommy bear and the baby bear. And then it is like a symbol theater. Instead of first the teacher uses as a lot different friendly props and puppets as possible, but then one day they disappear. And for the child, this symbol or shape becomes that character.
these are funny signs. What could these be for? What's there three of in the three bears?
The bears.
There's the bears, so what could these be?
Bears.
Bears, because look, are they all the same size?
No.
Oh, they're not. So this one, which who could this
Baby bear.
Baby bear. Now, because we're making a map of it, if this is a sign for baby bear, what we need to do, we need to put it on the blue piece of paper, but in the same place as baby bear is on the orange. I was thinking so.
For example, in the story of the Little Red Riding Hood, you have a Little Red Riding Hood at her mother, and then Little Red Riding Hood meets the wolf, wolf goes to the grandmother, sort of what are the key points, main points of the story. And then the children analyze the story and they create these models, or it can be the three billy goats graph, or the three little pigs, and you can start it not with the diagrams first, but you can ask the child maybe to draw what are the main events in the story, and then you start substituting.
So we've made this picture of the three bears, and here we've made a
Map.
What have we used here instead of pictures? We've used... Can you remember that word beginning? Wow, we've used symbols instead of pictures. That was very, very clever of you.
Nursery children at Two Waters are learning left to right directional reading through fun activities like symbol dance.
Right, so here we need to... What do we need to do? Jump.
This is now what we call symbol dance, and it is really the action of coding and decoding. For me, it is straight pre-reading.
Hop again. And last of all, hop again. Well done. You're very good at remembering those signs.
For some children, secure motor control and hand-eye coordination seem to come naturally. Others, especially boys, need help developing these skills for handwriting.
Ready to wake your tired hands up and your fingers? Fingers like to wiggle, waggle.
This artographic session, led by Galina's nursery manager Carrie, is designed to develop fine motor coordination.
Open, shut them. Open, shut them. Give a little clap. Would you like to take one, Teddy, and pass it on?
Vygotsky talked a lot about the external mediators, and we use a lot of them. We introduce the children the writing ring, and the writing ring is the external mediator which helps the child to remember that the only finger which goes on the top of the pencil or a pen is the one which has the writing ring. And you can draw a little flower here, and the pencil will be a butterfly. You can tell a lot of wonderful stories, and I know that each teacher has his own story how to introduce it.
I like my ring.
Right, now do you remember something that you were very, very good at last time, and that was making ladders? And we're going to do it quite quickly on our boards, and then we're going to paint them because you are so good. Ready to watch? Got one long line, and another very long line, and then you've got lots of lines in between. What could it be?
A train track.
It could be. Can you think of anything else it might be? Turn it round and make a ladder, couldn't we? Anything else it could be?
Stairs.
Maybe it could be stairs, Tommy, yeah? What about a fence round your house?
Fence.
Do you think you could do that for me?
I know a lot of parents who come to the Kid Learning program, and we explain to them what we are doing, but still they worry so much about reading and writing, because some parents only know something happens in child's learning if you have letters written on the piece of paper which you take home. But there are so many other programs and activities what you can do with a child, when then they will be doing it naturally and will be able to learn anything.
The innovative practices adopted in early years by Two Waters School have helped lay some of the foundations for reading and writing.
Okay, children, this morning we're going to be reading a story of
Mig
the pig, okay? If you can join in with the rhyming words, see if you can, okay? So we've got Mig the pig.
I love my wig.
Okay. Listen carefully then, Bryn.
I love my wig.
Okay. Do you know Mig the
Pig.
By year one, the pupils seem ready to enjoy the challenges of a more structured literacy hour.
Who is the fairest in the
Land.
They're now building on the foundations using their phonics.
G? Can you find a G to put with an ig?
And they're all well on their way to becoming readers and writers.
One's looking at nursery school, starting with the singing and the music and the rhyming, and then getting on to little phonic activities as quickly as we can. I think the good news is that it is perfectly possible to develop their language. There seems to be a window which is very wide open to the age of about 6.
My hope is, with all of the strategies that we now use, that no child will ever leave this school without reading and writing. No child has yet, I have to say, and no child, I hope, ever will do. And that's really important to us.
Without the basic skills of language and listening, children are not going to be able to develop their literacy skills. Nursery, they were playing in the water, and I started saying, I'm going to splash it here and splash it here. And after a few minutes, somebody said, you'll need this bucket. And the children and I began to talk. The thing is to ask questions or give commentaries which will open language, not close it.
If you eat one of these, I'll give you Marmite toast.
Can you help him eat it then, because he's finding it hard to hold it?
Sometimes there are classrooms which say, do what you want. Some say, do what I tell you. And I think Vygotsky's approach to early years, it is that golden middle between these two.
Once upon a time, there was a A farmer. Let me see your farmers. And what did he plant, Abigail? He planted a tiny seed. That's right. And the seed grew and grew into an enormous turnip.
Many children these days are not read stories or told stories before they come to school. So teachers have got to do lots of storytelling. Before you can write a story, you've got to have a head full of all the things that a story involves. Characters, settings, plots, but also the language of stories, once upon a time, and the sorts of ways stories are told, which is sentences which aren't similar necessarily to the ordinary language of speech.
The old lady pulled the man, and they pulled, and what happened this time? Pop, pop, pop! It came out of the ground.
Games like making story maps, Galina's story symbols, all of these will help enrich that. I love that little boy telling his Goldilocks story. I thought it was gorgeous.
She eats the porridge and sits on the chairs and breaks the baby bed.
Oh, she's naughty.
And she sleeps on all the beds that the daddy one is too hard and the mummy one is too soft.
It helps them to create their own stories and to be very creative, because then they have sort of a structure on which they can rest and to talk about.
We are a very visual society, so you can move into the written symbols that they see around them in the street. And opportunities to use environmental print as early encounters with reading and indeed writing through their role play is very, very useful.
What's this one? It's jump. Go on then. And then it's another jump. Then we hop. Then we hop again. What do we do here? Curl up with everybody. That's it. Then
The business of symbols, again, when the children were doing the clapping and stamping and jumping in response to symbols, that's a beautiful activity because it's involving movement, responding to visual symbols, and it's got the whole business of left-right directionality, which children have to learn in order to read. I'd love to do that one.
Well done. Excellent. Thank you.
Ready to wake your tired hands up and your fingers? Fingers like to wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle, wiggle, waggle.
Autographics, I think it's a very interesting new program, and it is based on the ideas that you learn to draw special patterns which will help you in writing. And the children use the whiteboards and writing ring, and we'll do a lot of finger gym exercises. As there is brain gym, so we do finger gym. And for the children to be able to develop their fine motor skills.
You're going to hold your pen with that hand. And that finger on the top, Declan.
I'll put a star.
The problem is boys. The girls will do fine motor skills, no bother. Girls just play with little things and like doing little delicate things, Polly Pocket things and so on. Whereas boys are much more gross motor movers, so they would rather play in the playground big, running around. And it can sometimes be difficult to get boys to develop their finger muscles and their fine control. So you've got to look for boy-friendly things like locks and keys, tools, dinosaurs, always go down big, that they'll want to play in small world environments with. Because until you've got that hand-eye coordination and that control, that muscular control, you can't use a pencil.
Tickles.
It does. It is a bit tickly, isn't it? It's like a prickly hedgehog.
Like thorns.
Thorns. You're right, Declan. That is a very good thing.
The lesson was beautiful, wasn't it? The finger exercises to strengthen the muscles, the finger ring, which is a brilliant way to get children to start holding the pens and pencils correctly. Learning the shapes, the basic 3 shapes that underpin English letters, and then concentrating on certain sorts of movements, which then can be taken into art activities. I saw that actually in the nursery when I went to visit. The shapes they were making in their orthographics lessons suddenly turned up in their artwork that they were doing independently later. But also looking at those shapes and thinking what they are standing for. Ladders and fences and stairs, one little boy said, didn't he? Brilliant. Lovely.
Mind that water because it'll go all over you and then you'll be a bit wet.
Do you know Mig the pig? Hello.
Hello.
Who's that pig? She's called Mig.
The Mig the Pig group, the children obviously knew and enjoyed the book. And that repeated reading of books is such an important element.
We had lots and lots of rhyming words in there, didn't we? Can anyone think of a rhyming word that we just heard? Charlotte.
Wig,
Good girl, well done.
I loved the way the teacher had brought in the progression from thinking about the individual words and how you can blend and segment, ig, and so on, and the enjoyment the children were getting out of the rhyming, which was clear. When children start enjoying rhyming, you know they've got the starts of phonics, and they start playing with it themselves.
Good boy. Can you put it with an ig? Good boy. Go and sit down. Has he made gig?
Yeah.
Yes. Well done. G, I, g.
She'd also used magnetic letters to help children practice that making words, and then it had built up to words on cards, so we were moving up towards a sentence level. I think it's really important with young children that we concretise the activities in this way. So using words on cards to build up your sentence. Putting the little sentence along the board of Mig the pig had lost her wig, I think it was. I really liked that. I thought it was lovely because I think it's so useful for children to see words that they can pick up and move about, the actual concretising the words. It shows so clearly what a word is, because it's a very difficult concept for children, word, letter. So helpful if you can pick up a thing called a letter, pick up a thing called a word. It shows the gaps between words and the way they go down. The teacher was showing how to write just the one. You don't have the boredom of writing the whole thing, you know, just one word that you showed to it. And of course the full stop at the end, which the children all remembered.
What do we need at the end, like someone reminded me? Well done. A full stop at the end of a sentence.
That is a very, very good way to put sentences together and help children see what it is that makes a sentence.
Okay, Heidi, yes, what word did you have?
Pig.
Can you sound it out for me? Good girl, well done. Anyone got another?
Rhythm and rhyme seem to be critical to reading competence. So music has advantages in that respect. And I'm seeing more and more teachers, it's lovely, turning the things that they want the children to remember into a little song. What was it? Somebody was doing for me the other day. It was a phonics one, to the tune of Little Brown Jug. Ka-atta, ka-atta, these three sounds are ka-atta, 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 these three sounds make... And the children give you the word back. Yeah, lovely. A Finnish teacher said to me, music tunes the mind to pattern and the ear to sound. Perfect, exactly what it does. It's lovely to see phonics back on the landscape again, I have to say, because for a long time, you know, it was banned practically in this country, and we had many children whose education suffered a lot because they weren't doing phonics. So it's great to see that it is being taught, and it's being taught well.
Oh, very good girl. Twig, go. Well done. Very, very clever.
Being ready for school doesn't necessarily mean being able to read, write and count, but being able to learn how to read, write and count.
Children learn best when they are enjoying themselves. If children are having fun, they will probably learn. As if you have structured the fun to get the right result that you want out of it. So it's really important that children enjoy what they're doing.